Tree Country 1330 WTRE. Good morning. It's Tuesday, and that means Mr. Hunter is joining us. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're down to single digits. I heard yesterday from several kids.
Is that right? Wow.
That is it.
It has flown by, hasn't it?
It has. And it seems like since spring break, it always goes fast.
It does. You know, it's always a beginning and always an end. So, you know, we are getting close to the end of 2025, and we'll be starting up again before you know it.
The summer goes so quickly, too.
It does, yeah. This spring seems like it's just flown by as well.
It's been so wet this spring. Have they been able to stay on track to some degree? Or are we?
Yeah, we're on track, but I mean, Stacy Meyer and John Rigney at the high school, junior high, they're just continually, you know, scheduling, especially baseball and softball and high school tennis. You know, I think all of those have been impacted at some point by the weather. But I don't know that we've had too many cancellations. I think we've had a few, but for the most part, we've been able to reschedule and get everything on track. Our boys and girls baseball and softball teams are doing really well. Even though the baseball team did lose in extra innings last night, but they're still leading the conference. The girls are, they're I think they're 14-2. Guys they've lost 3, so they're 12-3 or something like that. You know, both
Very
teams
good
are doing really, really well. They'll both be contenders come sectional time. Very tough sectionals, both of them, but they've had a great year. Tennis team's had a great year. Golf team's doing very well. We have some outstanding track and field athletes. So it's been a really, really good spring for Greensburg athletics. You know, and then if you had the opportunity this past weekend going to the high school musical,
yes,
that was I thought very, very good. Legally Blonde, kids did a fantastic job. Congratulations to Heather Simpson on I thought a really, really good musical.
We had part of the cast in last week, and they were able to sing for us, and what an amazing job they did.
Yeah, they did. It was long. It's like about 2.5 hours, which is kind of long for a high school musical, but it went really fast. Kids did a fantastic job, and you could tell how hard they'd worked to make it a success. So congratulations to them. Just a lot of really great things going on. We were just notified last week that our district was an exemplary Project Lead the Way district, 1 of 10 in the state of Indiana.
Wow. And
all 3 of our buildings, the elementary, junior high, and high school, were all exemplary schools. So, you know, that's a great honor to be recognized in that manner. This coming Saturday night up at the Indians, we've got 2 teachers are going to be recognized. The Indians have, each year they recognize the top high school, top junior high, and top elementary teacher from around the state. And we have 2 out of the 9 individuals that will be recognized, and hopefully both of them will win. Krista Harmon is representing Greensburg schools at the elementary level. She's a STEM teacher at our elementary school. And Troy Davis, who's a chemistry teacher at high school, he's representing Greensburg at the high school division. So good luck to both of them. They'll be introduced prior to the game, and at about 6 o'clock up at Victory Field. I think the game begins at 6:35. So if you want to go up and watch an Indians game and see 2 of Greensburg's outstanding teachers being recognized, that would be great.
What an honor.
It is. I mean, 2 out of the 9. That's pretty fantastic. And I think both of them are very, very much 2 of the better teachers, and probably not just in the state of Indiana, but in the country. And it's great to see anytime you can get someone who does a great job, see him get recognized for that, and just say congratulations to both Krista and Troy.
And that, again, is this Saturday.
That's this Saturday at 6 o'clock, Victory Field.
Very
I think
good.
It's supposed to be a nice day, too.
I think the weekend looks pretty good. So.
Yeah. Well, a couple of other things just kind of cleaning up. We do have our Honors Day for the high school seniors coming up next week, the last week of school on May 22nd. That will be televised on GTV, so if you can't be there, you can tune in and watch it over the Greensburg channel. We also have graduation coming up here pretty soon on May 31st. Again, that's at 9 a.m. at the Greensburg High School Gymnasium. So, put both of those things on your calendars. We also just want to remind everybody that enrollment is open for Greensburg schools, both in our regular enrollment for preschool, for kindergarten through 12th grade. You can go online and start that process right now. We also have enrollment set up for 6 through 12 virtual school. Everything is online for that. So if you just go to the Greensburg website, you can pick whether you want, the regular K through 12 or whether you want virtual, and then you can just follow the steps and register for the virtual school if that's what you choose. So everything is kind of up and operational, and we've got our new director of our virtual school, Jennifer Bowles. She's hired, and she'll be getting started on that process very soon when she finishes up her duties that she currently has. But we look forward to being able to provide a really quality opportunity for kids that do choose the virtual setting. We hope our kids choose to be in a seat every day in the regular school setting, but some kids that's I guess the right thing for them. And so, being the school that wants to provide opportunities, we're going to do the best we can to provide a virtual opportunity for those kids that want that choice. And we definitely are living in a world of choices now. So, you can pretty much go to any school you want or get educated in any way that you want to get educated. And I think we, as a school of, less than 2,000 now, we offer an awful lot of different alternatives to just that normal setting. And it's really great to see this year our vocational area just keeps expanding. We have more kids that are taking advantage of that, and then at the same time we still have our high academic standings that we have throughout our high school with the honors programs that we have. And we have right at 60 kids again that will be receiving the academic and technical honors diplomas at Greensburg High School, and that's always great to see. Kids are taking advantage of the advanced classes that are going to prepare them to go on to college, but also see kids that are going out there and taking advantage of all the vocational classes that we offer that are going to prepare them to go into the workforce as well. The only thing really going into this spring that's kind of concerning is, we talked a little bit about this, but our JAG program has been so successful at the high school, and we were looking at probably about 80 students that were going to participate in JAG this next year, compared to, we had 30 some, I think, this year in the program. Jess Barker's just done a great job growing it, and it's grown, but the problem with it is at the state level, they decided not to fund it this year. So we're going to see how that all plays out. We're going to have a JAG program. It just may not be able to be big enough to accommodate 80 kids. So we were hoping to move it down beyond just seniors and juniors, and we may have to just still look at that for another year. But that program really just does a great job, because Jess makes it do a great job at preparing kids to go out there after high school and be ready to get interviewed for jobs, write resumes, did a lot of field trips to different industries in the community here and different businesses, had people come in from business and industry and talk to the kids. And I just think, it's been one of those components of workforce development that I think has just been fantastic. And it's just very upsetting to see that that can't continue to be funded. And it was a pet project probably of previous governor,
okay.
And it's just not one that evidently the Governor Braun, he puts much emphasis on. I would assume. I haven't had a we knew that the past administration was really behind JAG, and I hope that we get some legislators that will also see the importance of it. For we talk, we want to prepare kids for the workforce, and here we got a program that's really working, and now we're not going to fund it. And they are going to give some funding, but it's all going to go into a block grant, and then the DOE will decide how that money is going to be used. And it's just not a priority of the DOE the way it was with workforce development. So that's one of the things that concerns me. And then when we look, Greensburg is one of those school districts like everybody else that's going to be affected by the property tax funding, and we're going to lose next year $293,000, in 2027 $250,000, in 2028 $310,000. So when you look at that, that's about $850,000 over the next 3 years that would be going into our operations fund that we're not going to have. So we got to make some tough choices. This year, I've met with our staff. I've met with the classified employees, and we'll get into negotiations with our certified employees later in the summer. We're not gonna have any RIF. We're not gonna lose any employees. We can bear the brunt for a year, see where we go. Because I think next year they're definitely gonna have to open the budget back up and do something about the funding for education. Because even when you look at us, they say we're going to get a 2-3% increase. But that 2 to 3% increase, it includes the curricular materials, and it includes a number for our ADM, which I don't think we're probably not going to reach that number. We're going to have less kids than what they're predicting for ADM. So when you take those two things into account, we're probably not going to get the funding that the state says we're going to get funded. But we've prepared for that over the years. We'll be able to hopefully weather this storm, as we have a few in the past. We survived 2007-8 there, where it was really tough times, and we'll try to do the same things. I think the important thing is being able to keep people at least in the positions where they're at now, and provide the job opportunities that we do to our employees. We have tremendous employees, not only teachers, but our teaching assistants, our custodians, our maintenance, our bus drivers, our cafeteria. There's 330 employees that we have in Greensburg schools when they open every day. So, it's important that we get really good people, and that we keep really good people. Competition for really good employees, it's tough out there, and we are limited in how much we can pay. So we want to make sure that we have this positive work environment on top of the pay, to where people want to come into work every day. But we're gonna struggle probably over the next couple of years, just like every school district. But I think we got everything in hand. I've always been able to kind of plan out in the future a little bit, and they've told us for a year that things are going to get tough. Didn't realize it was going to get as tough probably as what it has, but that's why you have to be mindful when you're doing negotiations, when you're adding positions and all those things, how it's going to affect the bottom line, not just this year but down the road.
Overall. Do you get the opportunity very often? I know I see you out at different things, but to talk with legislators, or not quite to the governor level, but that you're able to express the frustrations and the concerns you have with the budget changes?
Yeah, I'm very, very active in the Superintendent's Association, one of the officers in that association. So I have the times at different points during the year to talk with legislators. The Secretary of Education, I have been friends for a long time, went back from her Madison days, so I know her very well. And she truly is, all about education. Our legislators here, we've had different opportunities where they've come into the high school and our other buildings and toured the buildings. They're always open. I email them often about concerns and have correspondence with them. They're receptive to things that we say. We don't always have to agree on everything. That's okay. But I think as superintendent, it's my responsibility to at least make them aware of how things are going to impact us. And when you really get to the legislative level, there's about 5 or 6 people in Indianapolis that make all the decisions, and I'm sure they listen to the other legislators and caucuses and so forth. But primarily, there's like 5 different people that I always contact, along with our local legislators, to let them know what the impact's going to be on Greensburg schools.
We'll keep pushing forward and make the best of what it is.
And that's what that's what you have to do. You can't dwell upon all the bad things. There's a lot of good things as well. It's just like everybody was really concerned about the science of reading being a mandate from the state. Well, that's really one of the things they got right, because it really, really has impacted, I think, the instruction in reading at the elementary level. We're fortunate in Greensburg schools that we have such tremendous elementary teachers into reading in the early grade levels, because last year we were number, I think, 11 in the state. Our iRead scores were always up there in the top, 10, 15%. Always have above 95% of our kids passing iRead, and a lot of that is because of the science of reading, and we got on board a couple years even before it was mandated. So some things like that they do get right. I know there's going to be a great emphasis this year legislatively on I'll just call it the science of math, but some of the things that we did to help kids learn to read better, we're going to be doing some of those same things in math, and we are in the process of developing a new curriculum, both math and language arts, for our students at the elementary and junior high level, and we'll be introducing those over the next year or so. So it's just a continual process. Really, when you look at the legislation, there were a few bills that were educational bills that impact us and everybody else. There was House Bill 1348, which will be giving diplomas for non-accredited private schools and homeschools. That's a new thing. They didn't get necessarily the same diplomas that a high school kid graduating from Greensburg High School would have gotten, but they're going to change that.
Will that impact going forward into college on that diploma?
I don't know exactly how it's going to impact the colleges, but I would say it'll be easier to get in. Yeah. But House Bill 1498 is another one that everybody's just going, oh, here we go again. That's the new bill that is going to bring A to F letter grades back to schools. We've kind of had a hiatus on that since prior to COVID, and now we're going to bring it back again. It's a different set of metrics. Maybe those metrics will be based on better things than just test scores. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. But you can look for that, in the next year. We also have House Bill. Let's see the ones that really affect. House Bill 1634, that's the new math education bill I was talking about, which is going to kind of push math education at the earliest levels the same way that we had for literacy at the early levels. And then probably the biggest bill, of course, is Senate Bill 1, which is a taxation, property tax bill. And I talked about how that's going to impact Greensburg schools. We also have Senate Bill 146, which, some things that we do don't make a lot of sense sometimes. We know that there's a shortfall in revenue. We know that schools are going to get probably less money, especially from property taxes. And yet we raised the minimum teacher salary across the state to $45,000. We're okay because we were already at $46,000. And we also pushed the amount of money that has to go from the education fund directly to teacher salary and benefits from 62% to 65%. Again, we're about 67% already, so it's not going to impact us. But those schools that had a very low teacher pace scale, this is really, really going to impact
very impactful
them.
a lot
Very,
when you add SB1 into that calculation.
It's going to be very, very impactful. And then the other one that you heard a lot about was probably Senate Bill 287, which was the Partisan School Board Act. And honestly, that's not really going to impact us because we have an appointed board, but we've also always had partisan board.
You have, yes.
Yeah, so we have 3 Republicans and 3 Democrats on our board, and then a 7th can be either. It can be a Republican or a Democrat. And quite honestly, I've been around a long time, 26 years as superintendent, and in Greensburg schools, I've never seen one single decision that was based on politics. We have tremendous school board members, always have. Prior to me being superintendent, we've always had great school board members, and the thing that they worry about are kids, not about politics. And so, that's really not going to impact us, but it could impact, some districts. But those are just a few of the new laws that are going to go into effect. And remember, they all go into effect July 1st. And I'm sure there's probably 3 or 4 other little things that are somewhere tied into some bill that nobody really knows about, that we always get hit with, it seems like, on the, and said, did you know you have to do this year? And we'll get it done. So
bend when the wind blows, right?
Yep. The only good thing about the whole legislative process is that they do finally go home and stop making new rules.
They do, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
And this year they went kind of quick and quiet there towards the end. So
they probably had enough of it the way everybody else had, quite honestly. Do want to say congratulations this morning also. We still do a science fair at the high school.
Yes.
And Scott Mangels, he always has a really, I think, outstanding science fair for our kids, and that is sponsored by First Federal Savings and Loan. They give awards to the kids for first, second, and third, and we have really 3 different categories. We have physical science, where Elaine Weber was our winner, and Carson Miller and Joseph Yake were second, and Maddie Haviland was third in our physical science area. Life science, we had Christopher Maines as our winner. Madison Moreland and Marissa Powers were second, and Tam No was third in that category. And in environmental science, we had Savannah Danford and Ariana Hamilton. They were the winners, and Leah West and Milo Wilkerson were second. Avery Helms and Emma Kuntz were third in that area. And the winner received $125. The runner-up was $75, and third place was $50. Our overall grand champion was Christopher Maines, and his was the efficacy of antibiotic foods on E. coli. So congratulations to those kids in the science fair, and thanks to Scott Mangels, our biology teacher at the high school, for taking all the time and effort and still pursuing a science fair with our kids. It's on a voluntary basis, I think, for the most part, and we have judges come in and kids set up their displays and present to those judges. And congratulations to all the kids.
Reading through some of the subjects that they covered, it's some intense,
it
very
is.
well thought out
information. Yeah, very well thought out, and Scott said that the winners here were really good projects. So congratulations to those individuals.
All right. So moving ahead, thinking about next year, any teacher positions open? Are we unsure at this point where we're stand?
Yeah, we do have a few teacher positions open. We probably have about 5 positions open right now. There's probably 3 of those we're not going to fill next year. We will kind of have a little reduction just due to attrition, keeping in mind that we've gone from about 2,050 students in the last 4 years down to about 1,910. So we've lost 140 kids. So that's going to enable us to reduce a little bit in staffing. And if you don't do that, that's where you really run into trouble. You just the cost just keeps creeping up with less revenue. So we are able through attrition to reduce some costs there. but we will still be hiring some teachers. I know there's a special ed position we have to fill, and we have to fill our STEM position at the junior high. We lost that teacher who's not going to be coming back next year. So those are both going to be very difficult positions to fill, but we'll just have to see what happens over the next few months here. I would anticipate with the reduction in force you're going to see around the state that there probably going to be a little bit better pool of candidates this year than what we have some years. Some years we have absolutely no candidates.
I say it's been a struggle in years past to fill those spots.
It's been a real struggle. So I think we'll probably struggle in both of those areas because those are really hard to fill areas. But I think we'll have some candidates that we can fit into those two positions.
Very good. And we will next week is our last week of school.
Last week.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
It is hard to believe.
Yeah. So seniors will be wrapping up next week and all of that good stuff. And
it's a great senior class. You know, I was at the prom a couple weeks ago here, and I shared with Mike Myers, principal at the high school. I just really, really enjoyed the prom this year, more so maybe than some other years, because the kids just seemed to be having such a good time. And there were a lot of just kids there in groups, came with friends and stuff, and they were just dancing the whole night and just seemed to have a great time. We had no problems with the prom or the after prom, and I think that's just a testament to the kids that they're just good kids, and that's great to say that that you just have a bunch of really great kids. And I think in Greensburg schools, I can say that at every one of our buildings, because when we really look at elementary, junior high, or high school, and we look at concerns with kids, it's a very small number at each one of those buildings. And, they require a lot of time on the part of probably the deans and the counselors, but that number is not as large as what some people would think, that, all kids are have problems, and they all have, everybody has concerns, but they don't bring it into school every day. As a whole, we have tremendous kids, and appreciate the parents who help us have those tremendous kids, because a lot of times when you have involved parents and parents who are pushing their kids to do the very best and to be at school every day, these kids they reciprocate by being those students that you want every one of them to be.
I think, too, the diversity, just different things we've read about the senior class. I'll use it for example. But you've got many going on to college, but you've got them going to the armed services. You've got them going to the workforce. So you've just really produced a great mix of kids in this class.
Yeah, when we had our honors banquet the other night, it's probably been a month now, I was kind of amazed, because it was like, normally that group of kids, they're all saying they're going to college, or going to go somewhere to college. There were a large number of kids that are going into construction, going into welding, pursuing a nursing degree by going through the CNA program and building through from staying at home and working and getting their college classes in that capacity. We had the largest number I've seen out of when we had our signing day, largest number I've seen who are going on to Ivy Tech over at Columbus and taking advantage of the classes that they offer. So it is a really diverse group. We have that number of kids that are going to go away to college, and they'll be very successful, and they're going to be doctors and lawyers and engineers and all those things. But we also have kids that they're going to stay in the community and be part of the community and go into the workforce in construction and other trades.
It's great to see, and great to see them investing some time into the community and wanting to stay here and grow themselves. So,
well, I think that's the important thing to say about that. That's why we built the vocational center. I don't even know how many years it's been, probably 7 or 8 years since we put the addition on the high school. At that time, we had maybe 300 kids that were taking vocational classes there at high school. Now we have over 800, 900 kids that take classes every day there at the high school that have, kind of a vocational emphasis. So even those kids who are going away to college, they're taking different classes that would be considered the CTE or vocational classes. So it is one of those things. If you build it, they will come. And that's a great advantage that Greensburg Schools has is, all of our programs, they're right on campus. You don't have to get on a bus and ride an hour, two, and an hour back home. You can go down the hallway and go to class, whether it be one of our, engineering classes or biomed classes, or whether it be one of our, honors classes for college, whether it be one of our vocational classes, whether it be construction or welding or advanced manufacturing classes, the pre-engineering classes. All of those are right there at Greensburg High School. And our kids really do take advantage of it. And we have outstanding instructors that are certified in all those areas. And our kids, they really, I think, produce because it's right there, and they take advantage of it every day.
It has been a great school year all the way around. You guys have had a very successful.
Yep, it's been a great school year, and we just want everybody to finish strong and be safe. That's there's always tragedies. It seems like, at the end of a school year, you kind of hold your breath all the way through prom and all of those after prom activities and things. And again, kids did a fantastic job. We just want kids to be safe and remember our graduation's at 9 a.m.
Yes.
So
bright early and get it done, right?
Bright early and get it done. We've been doing it that way for quite a few years now, and it works out really well. So hope to see everybody at graduation on May the 31st. Excuse me.
May
graduation.
31st.
Yep.
Very good. Thanks so much for being here this morning.
Okay. Hey, got to finish up with a joke.
Oh goodness,
hey,
I was hoping.
This joke is I want to see, and I'm going to talk to him sometime here. I want to see if Rock Linville is going to get this joke because I know he always listens for the joke.
Okay. This is the main event.
Yep. What did the scarf say to the hat?
The scarf say to the hat? This is really simple. I know I'm complicating it. I don't know.
The scarf said, "I'll hang around while you go on ahead."
Oh, Tom.
They only get worse.
They only get worse. Well, and you got Mark Hirt back on the kick of them as well. So, Well, thank you once again for being here this morning. We'll see you next week.
Last week, isn't that amazing?
Yeah. That's right. But you still have 8 days. Is it 8 days? 9 days to go. That's my nephew was checked.
It's not over yet.
That's right. I said, Bud, we got 2 weeks. You got to make it through this.
That's
we can
right.
do it. All right. It's 7:59. We'll have news coming up here in just a moment on Tree Country 1330.